Welcome to the I'll Think About It podcast. Nothing is off limits in this space because we are interested and curious about everything. Join us for a thoughtful journey into the heart of the deep issues of our day with a few laughs along the way. Let's do this. So the I'll Think About It podcast. Why are we doing this, Aaron?
Well, that's a good question. I proposed to you, hey, let's do a podcast. And you said, yeah, that sounds intriguing.
You know what's funny about that?
What?
I had actually been thinking about that for a while.
Oh, wait, you just...
So I don't know if you noticed this, but the moment you asked me it, I gave you an instant yes.
You instantly responded back to me, but you did say interesting or intriguing, I think.
But the thing is, I almost never give an instant response like that.
No.
But that was why, because I thought, oh, yeah, that would be a fun thing. Something I'd thought about for a long time.
Yeah.
And so when you said, I'm like, oh, this done deal.
Yeah, done deal. Let's do it.
Definitely going to do it.
But why us? Why now? What are we bringing to the table?
Well, I think both of us are somewhat analytical, somewhat thoughtful. We don't mind arguing provocative points and ideas, and we're able to do it in a relatively unemotional way.
Yes, definitely.
And I think there's a need for that because most conversations nowadays, everybody acts like it's a life or death situation if you disagree with something, and you must shun them.
Yes, I think that you and I have the ability to sort of take an issue in the palm of our hand, so to speak, and spin it around, look at it from all the angles. We are, I'm not going to say we're not biased, because we are.
You and I have our biases.
Yeah, of course. We are coming from a certain angle, and as people listen to our podcast, they will decide for themselves. They will begin to understand what that angle is. I'm not going to give you too much of a teaser on that, but as far as issues go, you and I have an ability to stand back and look at them from all sides. I think we're really good at that.
Also, I think too, our positions are founded upon reflecting on the other side. It's not just, something that we've just decided upon. It's something that we, based on thinking about the issues, the sides, the philosophies in question. That's why we have our positions. And I don't think everybody does that. If you grow up in a family that thinks one way, as a young person, you tend to just fall in line with that, and you may not even know why. And I think both of us are much more in that we want to challenge our own thoughts and make sure, okay, does this still make sense to me?
I think that is very important. When President Trump was elected and everybody literally freaked out, I paused over that. I said, I could not believe that people were going just crazy. I didn't understand it. And so I wanted to make sure that at least I wasn't drinking the Kool-Aid on my side. And I wanted to have a little bit of an understanding. Time has passed where I actually think those people really were crazy, but it did cause me to think about what I wanted to make sure I was looking at all the issues, and that made people go crazy.
Well, let's put it this way. Whenever the culture in the media all seem to agree on one thing with no dissent, I get suspicious. And I think the Trump era has highlighted that very strongly. When everybody turned who used to be a relatively popular TV personality into
the devil.
Yeah, a kind of
the devil,
a kind of
horns,
cultural antichrist.
Devil.
I mean, it was just bizarre.
Yeah.
I mean, you even had on MSNBC those which is a left-wing show. What was it? That morning show with Mika and Joe Scarborough. They were interviewing Trump. They were buddies with Trump. They liked him.
I think they visited Mar-a-Lago.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden it was almost this instantaneous switch. It's like they got the memo. Oh, no, you're not supposed to like him. And then everybody in unison just went, And let me listen, Trump is not, he has a lot of flaws as a human being. There's no question about it. But so does every other politician.
And this is not meant to be a discussion about Trump. However, I will say this was a really good example of that. I was texting with a friend and I said, she hated Trump. This is before the election. She hated him. I'm voting for Hillary. I'm like, Hillary is the same as Trump.
Right.
She's the same person. They just have different ideas about how they're going to, what they're going to do with the board, with some specific issues. But as far as being a good person,
right. Yeah.
They're the same people.
I'd argue that, well,
as far as they all have their flaws, like
you can't look at them as some paragon of virtue.
Neither, no,
and that being the reason for your support, and maybe even more specifically, whenever somebody hates very strongly, that's curious to me. Like there has to be a reason for intense, strong hatred of a political or public figure, because if you don't know somebody personally, or you haven't interacted with them personally, it's very difficult to reach the level of actual hatred, because otherwise it's, they're out there. They're just a thing.
It really doesn't affect your daily life.
Yeah.
I mean, like really your daily life.
When so many people were so strongly hating this man, that was very curious to me. And it made me want to know, okay, why are people who can't possibly know him well enough to hate him for real, why have they reached to this level of psychological hatred?
Yes.
And that was an interesting experience. And again, right, it's not really about Trump per se. It's just that it became very obvious that things were going, like culturally, we were going a little wonky in our opinions. And well, I kind of wanted to get to the bottom of that and understand, okay, why are people feeling this way? Is it valid? A person's feelings don't necessarily need to be founded on, so they're entitled to their opinions. But if they have their opinions because of something other than their own thoughtful consideration, you have to ask yourself, they should ask themselves, is that a good thing? And then again, go back to why we titled the podcast. I'll think about it, because we didn't want to be in that category. We wanted to make sure we were being thoughtful about it. And we thought in our discussions, if people listen to them, they too might come to a little bit more of a thoughtful position on something.
Yes, I agree. Being able to look at it from all sides, even if you tend to be on one side of the issue or another, at least you can try to place yourself in the mind of someone else.
Absolutely, yeah.
And try to see where they were coming from.
And I think that we do that. And
I do. I think we do that.
I think we are hoping that others will also be inclined to do that, even if they don't agree with any of our opinions, which is fine.
Totally fine.
But at least have a thoughtful justification for those disagreements. I think that's really what I'm getting to. And not it just be some kind of, I don't know, that's the blue team, that's my team, that's the red team, that's my team, and it be no more thoughtful than that. That's
yes. Well, when you place yourself on a team and you're saying I'm only going to be on that team, then it rules out any further thought about what the other team is thinking, what their strategy is. It shuts your own mind down because you don't want to think about. You actually just want to stop thinking about anything. You just want to go about your day the same as yesterday, and you don't want to push your mind. You don't want to expand your mind in any way to observe any other, issues that are going on. And I'll think about it because I think that's what we're good at.
Well, yes, I think we're pretty good at spending some time actually considering a topic, considering the various sides of a topic. If there are, different ways of which is almost always there's a different way of looking at the same topic.
Yes.
And then it helps clarify for ourselves why we think the way we do, or how we need to maybe modify our position.
Yes.
Because that happens.
Yeah. Well, and also I invite anyone, when through our social media. I invite anyone to push back. We both invite
Absolutely.
anyone to push back on us, have a conflicting opinion, dissenting, opinion about where we could see another side, where we could revise just anything that we've said.
Absolutely. I mean, be it just pure information that we may not be aware of or considered, or an argument, an actual argument in the intellectual sense, not in the yelling at your spouse sense.
Yes.
Argue a different point of view. Absolutely, we love that, because that's how you get to the truth, is when you discuss via argumentation in the classical sense various viewpoints. And it doesn't have to be about trying to coerce the other side into believing you, but at least getting out there and discussing the things will force people to think and hopefully come to more, let's say, well thought out positions.
And no one should be afraid of an argument.
Absolutely not. Yeah.
A good or classical argument.
Yes, right.
Not a punching argument.
Not a punching argument. Yeah.
Which is the only current definition of an argument,
and that's
sadly.
Exactly correct. That the term argument has become this negative term, and it didn't used to always be that way. And we're talking about it in the classical sense.
And not necessarily that we are arguing with each other because we agree on a lot of things. We're arguing one side of the debate against society, really.
Right. Well, and also too, I as you know, I do like to bring up the other side's arguments.
Yes.
Before discussion, and while I admit to my own biases, maybe not strongly arguing the other side, well, at least not to the ability that somebody who actually believed that would do, but I do think I give it more than just lip service.
I will attest to that. I agree. Well, okay. How can I attest to that? Because I've known you for 22 years.
Is that how long it's been?
Yes.
It's been a long time.
Yes. So we've known each other a really long time. And so the time was right to take on this kind of project.
Yeah. And considering how we kind of were doing it on our own time anyway.
We were. We just could do this, talk and talk and talk.
Right.
So now the only difference is we're talking in front of a microphone.
Right.
And we're recording it.
And for those who may not be aware, we are both named Aaron.
Yes, we are.
So don't
one
let that
with an E and one with an A.
Right. Don't let that confuse you when I say Aaron, and she also says Aaron.
Yes. Well, we hope that you join us on future podcasts. We have exciting topics coming up. We're going to talk about guns. We're going to talk about relationships during COVID. We're going to talk about internet search. We're going to talk about elitism. That's just the beginning of a lot of subjects we're going to cover. And we look forward to, if you have any ideas for us to cover, just let us know.
Okay, well, enjoy listening.
Thank you. Thank you for listening to the I'll Think About It podcast. We hope we've given you something to think about. Please share us with your friends and on your social media. Goodbye for now.